Welcome to where the flavor is. Indonesia, the country that's smoking itself to death. And in a corner of Java, the most populous island on Earth, a phenomenon which anywhere else in the world would be considered grotesque. So we're on the outskirts of this East Javanese city called Malang, and we've come to see a child. He's called Maulana Susanto. He likes playing football and smoking cigarettes.
Tiap-tiap hari berapa? Berapa hari? Dua. Mau henti rokok, ya? Ini tak baik.
Maulana is 6.
Bila dia merokok?
Ya.
Dari
Dari umur 2 tahun.
2 tahun?
Ya. Kalau dulu ya sampai 1 pak. Kalau sekarang sudah sekolah enggak. Cuman 1 ya sudah.
Have you been trying to help him stop?
Iya mau, sebenarnya enggak ada yang datang.
The cigarettes Maulana smokes have 3 times the tar yield of the strongest on sale in Britain. There is no minimum age here for buying cigarettes. There's almost no education about how bad they are for you. Indonesia is tobacco's wild east, where the Marlboro cowboy rides on. A glimpse of a country with few regulations. Cigarette advertising is everywhere. It's literally every direction you look. Down that way, trees lined with cigarette ads. Up there, a huge Dunhill ad. And over there, over my shoulder, there's an ad with what looks like a dad and his 2 teenage sons tucking into some rather delicious-looking chocolate cakes. It says, in Indonesian, "Manfaatnya pas." It means the perfect taste. But you know what? That ad is advertising cigarettes, Sempurna. And right next to it, another ad. This time for Jarum. It's sponsoring a rock concert at the local Malang University. And it's not just concerts. Cigarette companies sponsor football, badminton, cycling, and adventure sports. Indonesia is the world's fastest growing cigarette market. 90 million smokers and rising. And the proportion of children among them is growing too. It's a health time bomb. In a Jakarta respiratory hospital, a 36-year-old rice farmer called Supriyatno is dying from lung cancer. Like most of the men in his village, he started smoking when he was a teenager.
Can you tell me how you came to start smoking and how this happened to you?
Supriyatno was too weak to answer my question. He asked his wife to speak on his behalf.
Ya memang di lingkungan itu banyak yang merokok. Mayoritas lah yang merokok itu di desa itu. Di keluarga juga kayak ayah juga yang merokok. Dalam keadaan seperti ini kan saya harus memberikan dorongan supaya dia sembuh, supaya dia kuat menghadapi penyakitnya. Karena di rumah masih ditunggu anak-anak.
You know, I think for people who've never smoked, it is perhaps a little difficult to feel sympathy for people like Supriyatno who, through their toxic habit, have self-inflicted suffering like this. But Indonesia is just different. Right across this archipelago, millions of people are continuing to smoke because of highly targeted, highly sophisticated advertising and sponsorship campaigns.
Smoking-related diseases are killing 200,000 Indonesians a year, and the numbers are rising. More than 2/3 of Indonesian men smoke. One man is trying to do something about it. Just a few years ago, Fuad Baraja was the star of a comedy series on national TV. He's an ex-smoker, and alarmed by Indonesia's smoking pandemic, he's made it his mission to stop children getting hooked. School talks like this are completely new to Indonesia.
Yang pernah mencoba merokok, walaupun satu hisapan, pernah mencoba, ayo, jujur, pernah mencoba ya, oke. Yang sudah merokok, yang mau diterapi gratis, di sini gratis, maju ke depan yang mau, cepat.
Fuad has just asked the children how many of them want to stop, and about a dozen or so have just stood up. Fikri is 12. He smokes half a pack of a lung-busting brand, Jarum Super, a day. Now Fikri says he wants to quit.
Gak usah penasaran. Minum airnya dulu.
Fuad Baraja combines an established technique involving the tapping of pressure points with aversion therapy.
Pahit lagi? Ya. Gak enak. Ya. Sekarang gini.
Fuad makes the children chain smoke.
Pegang.
Some feel sick.
Isep terakhir terus buang sini. Isep terakhir yang banyak terus. Dah, tarik ke dalam. Dah. Gimana rasa rokok? Enak ya. Jadi gini, rasa rokok ini akan tetap nggak enak terus sama kamu.
It seems tough on them, but Fuad believes his cure works. Fikri says he smokes Jarum Super because he likes their ads on TV, which are famed throughout Indonesia. So what is it about Jarum Super ads that makes them cool?
Kayak keren gitu, jadi bergaya. Gayanya bagus, modelnya keren. Karena bikin saya menjadi keren.
Along with Zimbabwe, Indonesia is one of the few countries in the world which still permits cigarette adverts on television. Tino Sarunggalo produces big-budget ad campaigns for Jarum, the adverts that Fikri was hooked on.
It's a lot of post-production as well, as I presume, yeah?
I haven't finished. We're gonna come out with like 9 versions.
Last year, tobacco companies spent £142 million on advertising in Indonesia.
I get the sense of no expense spared for this. That's incredible.
Oh, the 3 boys are crazy. They're just crazy guys.
You started when you were 8. Does it bother you when you see really young kids in Indonesia smoking?
Oh, well, I will go to them. I said, try not to. It's your choice. If you're going to be dying because of your lung problem, you know exactly you're going to be dying.
So if another 8-year-old in Indonesia in 2012 starts smoking because they've seen one of your Jarum ads, that's not your problem?
Not at all. It's the parents should be involved.
The cigarette firms insist that it's young adults they're targeting, but the reality is that the same slick, exciting ads seduce children too. A tobacco industry insider agreed to meet me. He confirmed that the big cigarette companies aggressively target young adult smokers. He told me Western tobacco giants Philip Morris and British American Tobacco, which bought Indonesian cigarette companies, are now milking a cash cow. Philip Morris says remarkable sales growth in Indonesia has helped offset a substantial decline in European sales. Vast cigarette billboards stand sentinel along Jakarta's highways. You cannot get away from the message, day or night. I was invited for curry with TV star turned anti-tobacco campaigner Fuad Baraja and his family.
Why do you do what you do now? Why did you make the change from acting and singing to not
smoking control? Yeah. Because I realized that smoking problem in Indonesia, it because of lack of information to the people. Because I have the information, so I feel that I have to make them know.
And what do you feel about your dad doing this work? I mean, before he was famous as an actor, and now he's just focusing on this one thing.
I'm proud of him.
An hour's flight to the east, and you're deep in tobacco country. Around here, children aren't just smoking tobacco, they're producing it too. Village tobacco cooperatives feed the voracious appetite of the big cigarette firms. Tobacco is as crucial to the Indonesian economy as the entire financial sector is to Britain's. Tobacco provides 10 million jobs and 10% of national income.
Tidak ada sekolah hari ini. Pagi saja ya.
It's nothing out of the ordinary to see children working on farms here. The trouble is, tobacco's no ordinary crop.
So this is Supriyadi. He's 12 years old, and like his other teenage brothers and his dad, he's out here in these fields harvesting tobacco and earning about £1.50 for 4 hours work.
Green tobacco is dangerous stuff. Toxins are absorbed through the skin, and workers can suffer acute nicotine poisoning.
The children in this village aren't just working in the tobacco fields. These two little 11-year-old girls, Jum and Mita, still in their school uniforms here, have come back and they're sorting out the green leaf.
But Arifin Penny, the local tobacco buyer, told me many of the villagers in this part of East Java depend on tobacco for a living.
Saya sebagai pedagang ya, itu intinya itu kan mencari hasil, membeli sama orang petani terus disetorkan ke gudang-gudang yang ada di Probolinggo ini.
He said some of the tobacco harvested by these children went straight to a company owned by a British firm headquartered in London.
Well, that's quite interesting. What he's just done is list the companies to which he sells the tobacco in the local town of Probolinggo, and among them, Bentuel, which is owned by British American Tobacco. So when you sell the tobacco to these companies, it comes directly from this village through you into their warehouses.
Kadang-kadang itu mencari ke petani, ada juga yang membawa ke saya, terus saya kumpulkan langsung saya bawa ke gudang untuk dijual lagi.
I thought the big companies were quite careful about not employing children.
Ya, itu untuk pabrik sendiri ya, untuk peraturan untuk anak-anak yang kerja itu tidak ada, pabriknya sendiri nggak tahu itu. Jadi kalau untuk aturan gudang itu nggak ada, biar anak-anak bekerja itu nggak ada. Itu kan bukan dari gudangnya.
Only the best leaves go to British American Tobacco, he told me. Their representatives visit this and other villages to inspect crops prior to delivery to the warehouses, he said. We wanted to talk to British American Tobacco at their local headquarters in Malang. They refused to meet us, but gave us a written statement instead.
We invited British American Tobacco to... Mengapa? Ini tidak private?
On its website, British American Tobacco claims to be working hard to root out child labour. And in its statement to us, the company said its representatives are always encouraged to tell farmers what BAT policy is on child workers. But there's no one to police what goes on the farms, and the UN's International Labour Organization says child labour remains common in Indonesia's tobacco fields.
Okay, so we had wanted to represent what BAT was saying to us by email in response to the allegations about child labour being used. They've said quite a lot to us, but we've been stopped from filming.
We do not have any child labor here.
Yeah, okay.
So you take from outside our area.
We were asked to cross the road before presenting British American Tobacco's statement on camera.
Its Bentor group said that it did not employ any child labour, either directly or indirectly, and that it was actively involved in programmes to prevent the exploitative use of child labour in leaf-growing areas.
Fuad Baraja is determined to turn the tide against big tobacco. Students have asked him to lead a protest march.
pameran penyesatan, pameran senjata pemusnah massal, pameran yang memamerkan mesin-mesin.
They're heading towards a huge tobacco industry trade fair in Jakarta called WTA, World Tobacco Asia.
Mereka berkumpul di sini untuk menjerat anak-anak kita.
The international exhibitors at the trade fair sell machinery and expertise to the tobacco industry. To the activists, these foreign companies are the new colonialists.
There's a full-scale assault on the gates there. They're saying, kick these companies out. They're saying, this country does not belong to Sampurna or British American Tobacco or Philip Morris. It's our country, it's Indonesia. Let us in. The protesters themselves have now managed to break through the doors and are on the outside of the convention area.
Security was momentarily overwhelmed. The protesters were now just yards from the trade fair delegates on the far side of the doors. After a tense standoff, the chairman of the British company staging the trade fair made a statement.
We do not influence one cigarette being sold in Indonesia, not one. We have taken the decision after this exhibition that we will not hold a World Tobacco Show in Jakarta again. I want you to look carefully at your actions because you are the young of Indonesia. And if you think that this is the way to run your country in the future by bullying people, I am very concerned for you because this is not democratic.
The students demanded that Keith Harris, the chairman of the British company, sign a pledge that he won't ever bring the tobacco trade fair back to Indonesia again.
Mr. Harris has given his word that we will not be holding the WTA exhibition here again.
Okay.
So you've won.
To answer your question. And so, but I might actually take that back. Do you know why? Because I'm so angry with your attitude. I might actually change that. And how do I do that? I bring more force in.
The students were furious he'd threatened to break his word.
Do you know how many underage children is smoking in Indonesia these days? 1% of the population.
But I sense this frustration from them because you said one thing in there and seemed to say another thing here.
I might, because why should I be coerced? I did that, yes, because I thought, right, commercially this is not on. If we didn't do this show, somebody else would be doing it. Do you understand that this is a commercial situation? That's what happens. But who they should be talking to is the government. How can I stop a rural farm in Bali smoking?
Indonesia's new health minister, Dr. Nafsia Mboy, wants to end what she sees as her government's dependence on the tobacco industry. The battle lines have been drawn.
I think, first of all, we, let's say from the government, have lost. It is the tobacco industry who have used all their skills, their resources, everything to get hold of these kids.
Tobacco companies have always denied this. Indonesia's among a handful of countries not to have signed the UN Tobacco Control Agreement that restricts the marketing of cigarettes.
So what is stopping you from actually just signing the UN framework?
In the past, politically, it was very difficult because a lot of people in the government said we should not stop this because of the revenues. We got the revenues from tobacco tax. We are providing, or they are providing employment for so many million people.
You're going to be very unpopular if you take away jobs and dent the economy now.
So what? People who started smoking between 5 and 9 years of age, this size, has increased 7-fold. It's a sin. Why are they protecting the tobacco industry when they know that so many young kids become the victims?
Dr. Nafsia Mboy was visiting terminally ill patients in the respiratory hospital, including Supriyatno, the rice farmer with lung cancer.
Apa kabar, Pak? Nanti kalau pulang, pesan merokok itu tidak baik. Iya. Jangan hanya Bapak yang mau berhenti, tapi semua anak-anak yang belum merokok jangan mulai merokok. Ada juga.
She chided him gently for having smoked for so long, but she knows Supriyatno is dying of ignorance.
Oh yeah.
The minister might be determined, but the cabinet's reportedly split on the issue of signing the UN tobacco agreement. One side is concerned about the financial health of the nation, the other, its physical health. We returned to tobacco country, where children commonly pick, sort and smoke it. This time we brought Fuad. We told him about Maulana, the 6-year-old smoker from Malang.
Maulana, bagus diedit ya.
But Maulana doesn't respond like most of Fuad's patients. He actually just seems quite happy sitting there smoking his strong cigarette, which, to Fuad's horror, he proceeds to wash down with a strong cup of Javanese coffee.
So, what do you reckon? Can you help him?
I tried 3 or 4 times. Yeah, he said that it doesn't affect anything. I mean, the taste of cigarette is same, still same. My heart filled with sorrow, and how a small boy like this starts smoking. But that's why I come here far away, just to help him quit. But it's little more patient. Yeah, must be patient.
It wasn't a wasted trip, though. Villagers who'd watched Fuad with Maulana wanted him to help them quit too.
Fuad has sent out a signal here today, and that is that people in Maulana's family and his village seem to understand that it's really not cool to have a 6-year-old boy smoking, and that smoking isn't very good for you. It's a very, very small victory in what will be a very, very long war.